yeah.
Welcome back. This week, cybersecurity is again grabbing headlines, from millions more finding out they were hit by the federal government hack attack to same-day meltdowns for United Airlines, the New York Stock Exchange, and the Wall Street Journal. And also this week, politics and business collide again in D.C., with Donald Trump making waves but not making any apologies. His recent comments disparaging Mexican immigrants prompted protests and calls for Trump boycotts, and prominent chefs are cutting ties to Trump's latest big venture here in D.C. Joining us this week at the roundtable, one of our regulars, Jonathan Averman of Amplifier Ventures, and a newcomer to the table, but a seasoned pro when it comes to .com ventures and Washington business, Eric Kofoot, managing partner at Public Relay and a longtime internet and software entrepreneur. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Jonathan Averman, I'll let you start with the Donald. We've interviewed him many times here on the show. He's always been a business genius, but not had the highest emotional intelligence. Explain what he is doing. He has said to me just recently that he didn't care if his comments hurt business. It's how he feels. But come on, he's got to care, doesn't he?
Why? He's running for president.
But he's got a huge empire that he's built. He's now passing it on to his kids. His daughter, Ivanka, is the one who the GSA gave credit for her work to get them the bid to win the old post office. That seems to all be imploding.
Well, listen, he's running for president. His poll numbers show that he is reaching into the base of the Republican Party, and some people like his message. Not everybody does, and that's the problem that he now has. The GOP's got a real problem, just plain and simple, with what Donald Trump is doing.
If you want to get noticed, Eric, in the crowded political field, and if you've got a big ego, and I think Donald Trump would have to admit that, it's working. But again, I get back to business. When I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, before these comments exploded, I asked him about China, and I said, come on, your people in China have got to be upset with you when you criticize China so much. And he kept insisting, I'm an American, I'm going to say what I want. But just take a look at that video. There he is with Eleanor Holmes Norton and others heralding this old post office redo. Other hotels wanted it. Does it make any business sense to you? How do you explain it?
I'm not sure I share John's opinion he's necessarily running. He's a consummate showman. He's a bombastic showman. He's a very bright man, too. And if you take it aside and say, what has he done with The Apprentice? What has he done with his brand over the years? He gets out there. He puts himself out there.
But to me, that was always brilliant marketing. I always thought that even his bombastic side got the Trump brand notice. But now the Trump brand is being devalued. People do not have the same level of respect for the name Trump.
But guys, you're talking about he's running for president.
But there's a whole different side. But he's not giving up the business. He's not taking his name off the business.
But that's what I'm saying. So Eric is saying, and I think a lot of people feel this way, that it's an entertainment activity.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's just really disturbing to me that we're in a situation now where the Republican candidates on the field are starting to coalesce. And the front runner right now is somebody who I respect. I've known Eric a long time, and many people say he can't be serious about running. It says something to me that I'm very concerned about. The process right now.
Well, but we're not going to get into the politics. This is the Washington Business Report, and we've got
it's lousy business. Lousy business.
Okay, so
I agree from that standpoint. He's damaging his post office.
I think it's terrible
renovation.
business.
But keep in mind, he's a long-term player. He wants to be in front of the press. He loves being in the front. He's fortunate he's 133 in Forbes. That's not number one. He wants to be seen.
But do you think the GSA and others are going to get to the point where they're even going to pull the contract to redo the old post office? The PGA is under pressure to pull the Masters golf tournament from him in 2017 in Loudoun County.
Donald Trump's background is in real estate. He's a master of the contract.
He's been back here, what, 3 times?
4 times, actually.
I mean,
he does personally his businesses, but yes, he's a master of the contract, and I admire these chefs, and I happen to agree.
Jose Andres, one of the biggest names in the business.
Terribly offensive what he said. I agree. But Donald Trump has him in a contract. He's going to rake him over the coals and take him for a lot of money. Same with the PGA in Loudoun County.
Do you think the brand name survives the political infamy?
You know, unfortunately, the American public has a short memory.
Jonathan?
I disagree. I think he's harming his brand, and I think he's running for president.
I think he's definitely running for president because he'll be in the debates, and I don't know if he will end up in the White House. Okay, let's get to these glitches that we saw this week because it was very unsettling. Eric, I want to ask you, because you've been in this business for a long time. You ran the Washington Post website and U.S. News. What happened where we saw the stock market meltdown, Wall Street Journal, and United Airlines all in the same day?
I didn't run it, but I was one of the senior executives.
Yes.
There was a great team there. And on 9/11, experienced a similar thing.
At the Washington Post.
The overload was unbelievable. We had 4 different levels of alternative backup plans. We leveraged all 4. So we stayed up largely on 9/11.
Your site did not go down, and several others did.
Most did, actually. And Paris Television said, go to WashingtonPost.com.
I know you could write a book on the things you did right, but for the layman who's trying to learn from these glitches, the Wall Street Journal this past week was overloaded by people trying to figure out what the heck was happening in the New York Stock Exchange. Are there any quick lessons in safety and being ready that you
There's actually a business lesson. It's not just technology, and that is preparation and planning for eventualities. And that's our responsibility.
And 3 backup plans, not 1.
Yeah, but it's got to be economical, and that's the challenge you see, is you have to spend money to be ready for that, and you can only spend so much in a competitive marketplace. And frankly, what concerns me over these changes and these issues, United Airlines, Wall Street Journal, and others, the public is getting numb to these outages, these breaches in the OPM.
We've got to wrap up. I spent too much time on Trump, as we all have, but cybersecurity, this is your whole world in venture capital. Between the government security breaches and these meltdowns.
Well, the meltdowns, these had nothing to do with cyber. These were software sucks. Software often breaks. The New York Stock Exchange software, that's fine. The cybersecurity aspects, the OPM breach, I've said this before with you and others on the air, massive incompetence. Plain and simple, end of story. The government's got to do a better job of protecting our data because they are our sole and best protector of our privacy. This is a big deal. I'm glad we saw resignation. We should see more changes.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing I don't have a lot of secrets, because I did have security clearance, and I'm sure I'm all in those files now that have been handed over to the Chinese. But I've got no secrets. I share everything. Gentlemen, thanks so much for sharing your secrets to success with us. And when we return, the pop quiz. Stay tuned. We're back. It's time for the pop quiz, and here's my question, because I want to ask it to the GSA. Will the GSA dump the Donald from the contract for the old post office?
Not a chance.
Jonathan?
It can't. It's free speech. They can't penalize them for that.
I think they wish they could, but we'll see. It's an interesting project. Stay tuned for more Washington Business Report next week. Thanks for joining us.